In this program, we're going to learn how to work with random numbers. We can get random doubles, we can get random integers. In the program that you have downloaded, much of the shell has been written for you. We have a button ready here for getting a random double that will be between 0 and 1.0, a random integer between 0 and 100. We'll allow users to put in a low and a high value. We'll get a random integer between them, and we'll also look at how we could possibly play a random one of 4 songs. First up, let's look at how we can get a random double. Actually, the very first thing we're going to use in our learning about generating and using random numbers is the need to declare a random object. Objects, well, in this case, you can think of the random object as a machine that's capable of generating random numbers. That's what it gives you for outputs. The machine itself is not an integer or a double. It can just give you those numbers. So we're going to dim, we'll call it RAND, you can call it anything you want, as new random. New is the giveaway that we're creating an object. This will make more sense to you later when we're studying Visual Basic. But that RAND is a random object that is, as I said, like a machine that can give us random numbers. In the random double, we want to get a value between 0.0 and 1.0, although 1.0 will actually never happen. We've got a variable all set, dbl random value, and we'll make it equal rand.nextDouble. That's it. That will give us a random double between 0.0 and 1.0, although we'll never actually get 1.0. There it was. Next, let's look at how we can get a random integer. We're going to have an integer variable here called int random integer. Very similar setup. We're going to make it equal rand.next, and we'll put a 100 in parentheses. The .next is going to give us a random integer, and it will go from 0 to 100. Should have changed that documentation above the int random integer to indicate it's actually an integer. But we'll start this up and look to see, do we ever get 0 or 100? We get lots of numbers in between. We're never getting 100. You can get 0. That lower bound can happen, but we'll never get 100. Next, let's look at how we can generate a random integer that's between two values. We've set up the form to have two text boxes where users can put in a low and a high number. We've got some variables ready to hold the low and high numbers. We've also got a variable ready to hold a random integer. Inside a try, in case the users don't type in good data, we have the ability to get the low and high number out of the text boxes. And we have an if statement that will check to make sure that the low number really is the lower number. If it is, we're going to generate a random number between the two of them. If it isn't, we're going to give the users a message to indicate to them that they messed up and we need a lower number on the left-hand side and a higher number on the right-hand side. The code is going to be very similar to what we just saw in generating a random number from 0 to some top value. So we'll make int random integer equal rand.next, but instead of putting one value in parentheses, we'll put 2. The lower bound is going to be listed first, int low number, and then the upper bound or maximum value comes second. The minimum value is int low number, the maximum value is int high number. And of course, we'll want to see, do we ever get the low number? Do we ever get the high number? For example, we'll put in 10 and 20, and there's a lot of numbers between 10 and 20. In fact, 10 is one of the possibilities, but we will never see 20. So once again, that upper maximum value, we never actually get to it. If you really wanted to get 10 through 20, including 20, then you would need to have 21 as your upper bound. When we use 10, 20, 10 is possible, so is 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19, but not 20. just to show you that the if does work. If the left number is not less than the right-hand number, we do get an error message. Well, so far we've used random numbers to generate random numbers, but what if you want to generate a random something else? For instance, a random song. We don't really know how to make random songs. We only know how to make random numbers. First, let's take a look at how we can make a WAV file play using my.computer.audio.play. So if we click on this randomly play one of 4 songs, there's the Olympic theme. It's in a background loop, so we can still operate all the controls. And it is in a loop, so once it ends, it will start all over again. That's what happens with background loop. If it had just been .background, it would have only played one time. There are 2 other choices when you're playing a WAV file. You could also have it play in the background without the loop. Again, users will be able to work with the controls on the form while the WAV file plays exactly one time. Maybe you want the users to have to listen to your entire file until they can do anything, then wait to complete is your choice. It's almost like the form is locked. Users cannot do anything with the controls, such as type in text boxes or click on buttons, until that file is done playing. You'll have to choose whatever you think is appropriate for your program. We've got one file already in. The Olympic theme is already included. We're going to add some more. You've downloaded 3 other files. We're going to go to the resources. Hopefully you followed the plan we just saw there. Find these files and add them. We had to go to audio and add resource to do that. And we'll close this random numbers tab there with the projects properties, and we notice that the resources have been added. We see them over on the right hand side in our Solution Explorer. So now we can incorporate them into our desire to make random songs play. We've got 4 songs, so we're going to choose to generate a random number between 0 and 3. You could also use 1 and 4 if you like. We'll go with 0 and 3. We'll need a variable to keep track of this. We'll call it int song number. And since we want it to equal a random number between 0 and 3, we'll set it equal to rand, which is our random object, .next, and we'll put a 4 inside the parentheses. Remember, we'll never actually get to 4. We'll get 0, 1, 2, or 3. But it is kind of handy. It makes sense because we have 4 songs. Well, we can guarantee now that int song number is either 0, 1, 2, or 3. We can take that knowledge and use our ifs to generate a random song. If int song number is 0, then we're going to have the Olympic theme play. We'll just slide this code inside the if. And we'll take this back to the original background loop. We know it's also possible for int song number to be 1. So else if int song number equals 1, we can have a different song play. Once again, it's my.computer.audio.play. This works for WAV files. My.resources. And there's the song we're going to choose, Stars and Stripes Forever. And we'll make the audio play mode, once again, a background loop. Well, int song number could also be 2. So we will say else if int song number equals 2. That will generate another song. We'll have the opening bars of Superstition play. We'll use copy and paste this time. You got a couple of choices here. You could say else if int song number equals 3, or we could just say else, because we know that there's no other option. We're absolutely certain that we're either going to have a 0, 1, 2, or 3. So we could go either else if int song number equals 3, or simply say else, knowing that this will catch the only possible thing left, the fact that int song number is 3. And we'll have this play our final selection. Now we can use these random numbers to generate a random song when we click on the button on the bottom left of our form. Well, let's press our button and find out if we get a random song. We'll press it again. We got the same song. And of course, these all play in a background loop. The controls all still work. Let's see if I mess this up. Get an error message. Another error message. And there we go. So we can use random numbers to help us get random other things. We only really know how to make random numbers, but we can get random songs, random zebras, random donuts. As far as your mind can imagine, we can use random numbers to help us get other random things. We were able to use ifs this time.